Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me turn off my music. Our Wednesday live stream class. How steward parents own their parenting process and stop living, and they don't leave it to chance. How steward parents own their parenting and not leaving it to chance. So today we are going to be looking at how steward parents own their parenting. Many of us are caught trying to do a lot of stuff as parents, and then we are now caught in leaving our parenting to a lot of circumstances. But today we are going to looking at the influence you don't intentionally provide will be supplied by something else. The influence that you don't intentionally provide will be supplied by something else. Okay, let's talk about this. One of the most dangerous parenting habits is believing that you just believe that someone else is responsible for shaping your child. Someone else will shape your child. Many parents are hoping the school will teach character, the church will teach values, relatives will teach respect. Okay, society will teach responsibility. Meanwhile, the child is being shaped every moment. The child is being shaped. Good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. So it's being shaped every single day. That your children are being shaped every single day. But you leave them up to chance. You be like, oh, church will do that, school will do that. Not someday, not even when they become teenagers. Today, right now, your children are being shaped. Your children are being shaped. Every conversation, every friendship, every screen, every observation, every experience is shaping your children, is shaping your child. Okay? The truth is, if you don't intentionally shape your child, something else will. Something else will. So what would that be? And you don't have a right, you don't have the luxury of hi, funny guy. Hi, funny guy. Thank you for being here. So you don't have the luxury of being able to rectify this thing. So you have to be able to be the one to shape your children, okay? Because parenting is too important to leave to chance. Because parenting is too important to leave to chance. You have to man your parenting gate. You have to sit on your parenting gate. And yet, many parents are doing exactly that. Okay? You're just leaving your children to chance, leaving them to social media, leaving them to whatever. Let them help you to raise your children. But parenting is so important, a role that you don't leave to chance. Your children are being shaped daily because parenting is too important to leave to chance. And it's not, you have to do it intentionally because you don't love your children, but because you assume influence happens automatically. Influence is not automatic. Okay, you have to curate it. So today I'll challenge you with this assumption, because stewardship parenting teaches something radically different. Stewardship parenting teaches something I can't understand a single word. Okay, just listen, you understand. Because stewardship parenting teaches something radically different. It teaches influence must be intentional. Stewardship parenting teaches that influence must be intentional. Hello, amazing parents. You're welcome to today's conversation. My name is Ruth Ikhabomeh. I am the founder of the Epitome Parent Hub. In this place, we teach you how to raise children who are grounded, children who are sure of their identity. Okay, that is what we learn on this space. So you're welcome to today's conversation. So today's conversation is one every parent needs. It's a conversation that every parent needs. Okay. Not because you are failing, no. It's not the fact that you need to know that you are supposed to man your process. You need to man your process, your parenting process. It's not because you are failing, no. But because parenting today requires a higher level of intentionality than ever, it requires a higher level of intentionality than ever. Parenting requires a lot of intentionality than ever. It's not what was happening before. You tell yourself, oh, our parents did that to us and they didn't learn parenting, so why should we learn parenting? But parenting today requires a higher level of intentionality than has ever happened before. So that is why you need to wake up. You need to wake up and and be sensitive about your role as parents, because destinies are involved, because lives are involved. Your children's life, your bloodline should not be a joke to you. Okay, the world is competing for your child's attention. The world is competing for your child's attention. And what are you doing about it? What are you doing about the competition? Okay, competing for their beliefs, competing for their values. The world is competing for their values, for their identity. That is why you will see a child say that, oh, I don't, this is what I thought myself. This is how I feel I am. But it's a competition. You need to man your gate. And stewardship parenting asks, if everyone else is influencing my child, how am I intentionally influencing them? How am I intentionally influencing? Tonight this afternoon we are discussing how steward parents own their parenting process. How you can own your processes as a steward parent. If you are not intentional in shaping the identity of your children, destiny of your child, someone else, yes, somewhere is going to do that, okay? And if do it for them and it will be disaster, yes, it will be disaster at the end, and you don't have a control over that because you are not there. So you cannot tell your child, okay, that you just assume that they are going to learn these things. No, it's not going to happen that way. You have to man your gate. You have to man your parenting gate, because steward parents own their parenting process. Steward parents own their parenting process. That is what you should do. You should be able to own your parenting process and don't be thinking, oh, church will do it for you. Church will only teach the word of God, teach Bible. But the Bible says that wisdom is the principal sin. So parents, you have to be able to and stop leaving it to chance. Stop leaving your parenting to chance, okay? What many parents are struggling with, many parents genuinely love their children. You have good intentions, okay, for your children. You provide, you sacrifice, you protect, okay, as a parent. You do all of this stuff for your parents. You show up. Yet you are still frustrated. Why? You are frustrated because that's why all of your efforts, you find yourself saying things like, oh, this parenting is hard. My child listens more to friends than me. Oh, social media is ruining my children. Social media is ruining my children. The school isn't teaching values. Really? Is that the school's role? Is that the school's role? Children these days are different. That's why parents too need to be different, okay? That is why parents too need to be different. You need to be intentional about these things. So these concerns are very valid, and they may be valid too in your own case. But stewardship parenting asks a deeper question. What influence am I intentionally building around my children? What influence am I intentionally providing? Because sometimes what we call a social media problem is actually an influence problem. It's actually an influence problem. Okay, so don't sit back and tell yourself, oh, social media, everybody is influencing my child, but I'll tell them to do stuff and they will not do it. Why? Because you have not woken up to your roles. You have not woken up to your roles. What we call a peer pressure is sometimes a connection problem. These children, what you call a peer problem is sometimes a connection problem. Parenting, the lifeline of parenting is connection. It's connection. Are we connected to your child? What we call a school problem is sometimes a stewardship problem. What we call a school problem is what you've not been able to steward as a parent. So, but this realization will change how you view parenting. This realization will change how we view parenting when you realize that you need to become connected. You need to be connected in your role as a parent. You need to become a steward as a parent. You will wake up and do your parenting with a lot of fear and trembling. Yes, parenting requires a lot of fear and trembling. So now the breaking point, when I realized parenting is not event management, parenting is influence management. Parenting is not event management. You are not managing your children. It is influence management. Parenting is influence management. Children are always being shaped, always learning. Your children are always learning. They are always absorbing. They are always absorbing their environment. So what The question is my child being influenced? That is not the question. Is my child being influenced? The question is who is influencing them the most? Who is influencing them the most? And if you tell yourself, okay, if you want your influence to matter, oh, I cannot leave it to chance. That realization transforms everything. When you tell yourself that you want your influence to matter to your children, you want your influence to be evergreen, then that is what transforms you. That is what brings transformation to everything. Now I have a stewardship framework. The stewardship framework. The first on my list is a steward parent stop parenting on autopilot. A steward parent stop parenting on autopilot. Many of us, we just want to do parenting based on how we saw our parents did it, and they did not do so much. They did not learn parenting. They just shouted at us when they are triggered. They just did all of those stuff. That is parenting on autopilot. Parenting has to be so intentional. Parenting has to be so curated. Parenting has to be so planned. It has to be really planned. So the first criteria for a stewardship parenting is that they stop parenting on autopilot. Many parents are repeating what they experienced. You are parenting from memories and not from mastery. But parenting at this time and age needs a lot of mastery. You need to learn this stuff. It is not something that will just fall on you because you carry the child for 9 months. It's not something that will fall on you because you impregnated your wife to carry your children. No, parenting is learned. Parenting is not something you do on autopilot. You learn it. You learn parenting. So many parents are repeating what they experienced. They are parenting from memories. They are parenting from pains. They are parenting from trauma. So this is not what steward parenting is about. Steward parenting tell themselves that because it works doesn't mean that it makes the child you get quick fix from that action. Does not mean that is a steward tool. That does not mean that that's a tool for your stewardship because it is familiar. Okay, example, I was shouted at, so I shout too. That is parenting on autopilot. You were shouted at, so you shout too, and you feel it's okay. You feel it's normal. It's not okay. Okay, I was never allowed to question adults. I turned out fine. Really, did you really turn out fine? You were never allowed to question adults, so you turned out fine. Because you were never allowed to question adults, you know the things you have to go through. So, but a steward parent asks is this producing the outcome I want? Is this producing the outcome I want? So that is what our goal is, to become steward. Steward is not ownership. Steward parenting is a service role. You know you are called for this role. You are called for this role. So you tell yourself that is this producing the outcome that you want, because you choose wisdom over tradition. That is choosing wisdom over tradition. Choosing wisdom over tradition. That is the first tool for a steward parent. The first tool is parenting, not parenting from autopilot. Okay. The second tool is that they take responsibility for the emotional climate of the home. They take responsibility for the emotional climate of the home. They are not thermostats, they are thermometers. They regulate the home. So children are shaped by atmosphere. Your children are being shaped by the atmosphere of your home. Your children are being shaped by the home environment. So what are you doing about it? Are you just reacting? Are you just doing everything based on autopilot? But a steward parent knows that they are responsible. They are responsible for the home climate, the emotional climate of their home. They are responsible for it. So children are shaped by atmosphere. Imagine two homes, one filled with tension, shouting, okay, shouting, unpredictability. You just know that you just have to live in survival mode in that space. Another is filled with calm, correction, communication, and safety. Which home develops healthier emotional children? Which home will do that? Okay, but steward parents understand that atmosphere is teaching even when nobody is speaking. Steward parents understand that the atmosphere is speaking even when nobody is teaching. The atmosphere is speaking even when nobody is teaching. Steward parents are aware of that. So that is why you need to become a steward parent. You need this to develop your stewardship identity as a parent, so that you don't do parenting based on how you feel. how you just say, our parents, maybe we were shouted at. Our parents shouted at us. Our parents beat us. Our parents told us all those things, and then see us. We are fine. We are this. We are that. Are we really fine? So the steward parents understand that the atmosphere is teaching even when nobody is speaking. Another is that they don't outsource character development. Number 3 is that a steward parent doesn't outsource character development. It is your duty, it is your role as a parent to develop character formation for your children. It is your duty to develop character formation for your children. Because schools teach subjects, parents steward values. The school environment, the school will teach your children subjects. They will teach them math and English. They will teach them home science, teach them all the sciences. But a steward parent will teach values. A steward parent knows that they have to man the value gate. So, for example, a school will teach math. They will teach English language, teach sciences. But a school cannot fully teach integrity. A school cannot fully teach integrity. A school can teach science, but a school cannot fully teach responsibility. A school can teach science, but a school cannot fully teach responsibility. They cannot teach integrity. They cannot teach values. So that is your role as a steward parent. That is your role. A school cannot teach responsibility, and steward parents understand this. They understand that character is too important to be outsourced. A steward parent understand that character is too important to be outsourced. I was speaking to someone, I was telling the person that you strike the sheep and the hireling will flee, but a shepherd will stay and protect. So that is your role as a steward parent. You stay and not outsource your character formation for your children. You stay and build it. You stay and develop it. That is your duty. You have to be able to create a conducive environment for these things to be formed. You have to be able to create space where you'll be able to build and then not outsource character for your children. Not outsource the character formation of your children. The fourth on my list is they model what they want to see. They model what they want to see, because children learn more from observation than instruction. Your children they are busy absorbing, okay? And you cannot consistently teach honesty while practicing dishonesty. You will say a thing and do another, but your children are consistently, they are mirroring you. They are mirroring you. They are doing everything they think that you do. Not that it's everything that you do. So children will learn more from observation than instruction. Stop telling your children, do what I say and not what I do. It doesn't work in parenting. Do what I say and not what I do will always backfire. Your children will always do what you do and not what you say. So that's why you need to be careful of your environment, because you model what you want to see. You have to model it. You have to become it. You have to become what you want your child to become. So stop leaving these things to chance. You cannot consistently teach honesty while practicing dishonesty. You tell your children, also most times you will force them to a space where they have to be dishonest. You force them into a space where they don't have any choice, again, because you don't know what to do. You don't know the right questions to ask. You don't know how to make them behave. You now say, that you ask them a question that causes them to be dishonest. So all these things are learned. So you have to be able to learn how to become a steward. You have to learn how to build this stewardship role as a parent. You cannot consistently teach dishonesty, and you cannot teach respect while modeling disrespect. Some of us are very rude. We talk to the people around us carelessly. We just behave as if they are not human because we are so rich, because we have everything it takes. But a steward parent knows that you tell your child to be respectful. They also model that. They also show that to their children. They also show that that respect is what a human being does, not because they are older or because they are younger. It's because that's what stewardship calls for. You cannot teach respect while modeling disrespect. You cannot teach self-control. You tell your child, you need to be self-control, you need to be this, you need to be that. Meanwhile, you are doing something the opposite. Okay? You start demonstrating emotional chaos. When you are angry, you'll be shouting, hey, Uka, hey, you'll be shouting everywhere. There will be chaos everywhere. emotional chaos, but you have to model what you teach. If you want your child to be self-controlled, if you want your child to be able to do all of this stuff, you have to demonstrate emotional calmness, and you have to demonstrate emotional clarity, because children watch, then copy. They watch, then they copy. Children watch, then they copy. Okay, so it's not something that just happens automatically. Then fifth the fifth tool in a stewardship parenting is that the fifth tool in our stewardship parenting is that in our stewardship parenting framework is the learn instead of assuming. A steward parent learn instead of assuming. Many parents assume, I love my child, therefore I automatically know how to parent. Really, your loving your child doesn't guarantee, doesn't teach you, doesn't make you a steward. It doesn't. Stewards are trained people. You need to be trained. Okay, you need to be trained. So many parents will assume because you love your child, but love and skill are different things. Parenting is skill is a skilled work. Parenting is a learned work. So it's not because you're loving your child, you even use love your child and kill them. Without love, without emotional intelligence, without the tools, without being connected with these children, you will even kill them. So love and skill are two different things. You need to be skilled in loving your children. You can love deeply and still need growth. Many of us parents, we are struggling because we need growth. We need to grow up. We need to leave that space where we are now. We need to start doing better. Steward parents remain students. Steward parents remain students. They know that you once you're alive, you need to keep learning. They learn, they grow, and they seek support. A steward parent knows that they learn, they grow, and they seek support. So that is the fifth tool in the steward parenting framework. You learn, you grow, and you keep growing. You keep growing. You don't remain at the spot where you are and tell yourself, "Oh, this is it." That is not it. That is not it. You need to grow. You need to learn. You need environment. You need a community. You need a community of like-minded people. That is why you need to build this framework. You need to build this framework for yourself. You need this stewardship parenting framework. The sixth on my list is they become students of their children. They become students of their children. Okay, for them, and it will be it's a disaster. So they become students of their child. One child may need encouragement, another may need structure, another may need reassurance. So you get to know, a steward parents get to know who their children is. Every child is unique. Everyone is unique. A steward parents get to learn who this child is, and then they tailor their response to their need. They tailor their actions, the environment, to the need of your children. So you don't just say, oh, because you are a parent, because you carry the child for 9 months, and you know that when they are shouting, you shout at them now. When they are this one, you know what they need. So your children may some may need encouragement, some may need structure, and some may need just reassurance. Okay, it's a process. This is a process. So steward parents don't parent based on assumptions. They don't parent based on assumptions. They study the child in front of them, not the child they expected. So I was in a group of people. They were talking, me I want boys, me I want girls, me I want this, me I want that. You parent the child that you have. You don't go and parent the child that you assume, because you wanted the male children. You now start dressing your female child like a girl, or because you want female children, you now start dressing your boys like a girl. You have to learn who your child is and then tailor your response to them. Tailor what you want, tailor the growth journey for their need, for who they are. So stop raising your imaginary children. Raise the children that is in front of you. Stop raising your imaginary children. Raise the children that are in front of you, because you need to study your child. Study the child in front of you, not the child you expected. Study that child in front of you, and then tailor your growth process to them. Now, the seventh item on my framework is the build systems instead of constantly reacting. Parenting is a system building, is a structure building. You need systems to be able. If not, you keep reacting. You have to be able to, and you don't just, this thing doesn't fall on you. You learn them. You learn them. You have to be in a system that teaches this stuff. You need to be in a system that teaches you how to become steward, how to become steward parents. Okay? So steward parents learn that they need to build systems instead of just constantly reacting. They learn that they have to build systems instead of constantly just reacting, because reactive parents solve the same problem repeatedly. You solve it again and again and again, because why? You don't have systems, you don't have structures to be able to address this stuff. You keep being everywhere and you become overwhelmed, you become tired, and then you pull out and then you tell yourself parenting is hard, parenting is this. Yes, parenting is not for the feeble, but then parenting can be enjoyable, parenting can be rewarding. So you learn how to build systems. So this is all you get to learn in this framework. You learn how to build framework, because reactive parents solve the problem, the same problem repeatedly. You solve it today, tomorrow you keep, oh, Shebe, I've told you before. Why am I still saying the same thing? You learn how to build systems, because steward parents build systems. Steward parents build systems. They don't rely on just reacting. They build systems. Example, money routines. They have money routines. They have homework systems, family meetings. Okay, these are systems that a steward gets to build. Okay, bedtime routines, technology boundaries. You don't just say, they have finished their homework now, go and take my phone. Really? Is that a boundary? So all of these things are systems that we should be building, and we cannot build them if we don't have this steward mindset. If we don't have this steward mindset, parenting is stewardship. Parenting is stewardship. So you need to be able to have this mindset so that you can build these systems, money routines, homework systems, family meetings, bedtime routines, technology boundaries. These are systems that a steward gets to build. If not, you keep reacting. You keep doing the same thing over and over again and tell yourself, this is what parenting is. No, parenting is not supposed to be like that. Parenting is not supposed to be chaotic. Parenting is supposed to be a systematic role. Okay? So by system reduce chaos. Having this system really reduce chaos, and we can do that. So the eighth on my framework is that they address their own growth. A steward parent addresses their own growth. This is where many parenting conversations stop. You don't want to grow. You tell yourself, who is this small girl? Who is this small person in front of you that's telling you to learn stewardship? What is stewardship again? But a steward parent knows that they need to address their own growth. They know where they are lacking, where they are just being reactive, and they work on that part of them. So, and it's a daily work, it's a daily role, it's a daily duty. So this is what a steward parent knows. They know that they have to address their own growth. They have to address their own growth and grow up. Because if you keep telling yourself that, what does these people know? All this parenting platform, and because many people even misinterpret it. They say, gentle parenting, don't beat the child. That is not what we are preaching. We are teaching you how to grow, how to grow so that your children too can grow. But when you keep reacting, when you keep being an autopilot parent, when you keep doing parenting in isolation, you tell yourself that that is what parenting is about. That's how your parents did it. That is not how parenting should be. Okay, every generation should evolve. Every generation should do better. Every generation should grow. You should be able to grow past that. Your parents sacrificed a lot to raise you. So what are you doing for the sacrifice? You just want to be like that. Say, my parents traumatized me. They traumatized you, but now there's information, there's transformation here. We are here to help you grow, and you need to address your limitedness and then grow up. Okay, so we stop at growing. We tell ourselves that and you need to flog the child, to flog them very well. Not saying, okay, come and tell me what to do. He's saying, just know when to, what is the yardstick, what is the measurement you use now to be able to know that, okay, this is the point at which I should stop hitting this child. What is the measurement you have? So parenting is a serious work. You need to learn it. You need to learn how to become a steward. Stewardship role is a learned role. Stewardship role is a learned role, okay? You need to learn how to become a steward. A steward knows that these children are not yours. These children are just in your space for you to raise. Okay, these children are not yours. So you don't raise your children as if they are your possession. Your children are not your possession. You are just a guide. You are just a teacher. So do your work well. Do your role well. And address your growth areas where you need to grow. You need to grow as parents, and stop pouring it on your children. Stop bleeding on them. Tell yourself, oh, that is what my parents, they used to flog, they flogged me very, and I turned out okay. See me today, I am a professional. See me today, I am a career person. That is not, it's not correct. That is not correct. You need to start, we need to do better as parents. We need to be intentional about raising these children, because parenting has a lot of growth in the system. To parent your children, you need to grow intentionally. But stewardship parents goes deeper. Stewardship goes deeper. Many parenting struggles are actually parent growth struggles. Many parenting struggles are actually parenting growth struggles, because we have not grown. That is why we lack a lot of emotional intelligence. The areas where we are supposed to address issues, where we don't even know. We don't know how to do these stuff. But when we learn, we get to have a lot of clarity. We get to learn a lot of clarity. So many parenting struggles is actually a growth struggle. It's a growth struggle. You need to grow and stop thinking it's the child. This child, why is this child troubling my life? Why is this child like this? Oh, I need my brother's children are more calm. My sister's children are, it's a lie. You parent the child in your house. Parent the child in front of you. That is the child you are supposed to parent, and stop wishing for another child. Stop wishing for another child. Grow up to the child so that you can embrace the road that you need to become for that child. You need to become for the development of that child. So sometimes the child isn't triggering your anger. The child is exposing unhealed anger. The child is not triggering your anger. Sometimes, or most times, the child is just exposing your unhealed anger. The anger you have used stuffs to cover. You have used makeup. You have been covering it. You have masked those spots for a long time. Those are the spots that your children are opening, and you need to heal. You need to heal. As a steward parent, you need every one of us, every human being alive needs healing. Yes. We need to do better. We need to do better. If not, the world will keep raising children who get to struggle. We need to grow and do better. Sometimes the child isn't causing impatience. The child is only revealing that the impatience we have. So sometimes it's not as if the child is causing impatience. The child is only revealing impatience. So, but steward parents understand healing the parent benefits the child. Healing the parent benefits the child. So a steward parent is very mindful of that okay, this is my child that I claim, that I love so much. When I heal, I'll be able to love on them better. I will be able to connect with them better. I'll be able to parent them in a healthy way. So, but that is why a steward is very mindful of their healing process, very mindful of their growth process. If you keep telling yourself, oh, parenting is just common sense, you will keep bleeding on these children. Parenting is not common sense. Parenting is a skill. Parenting is a skill, and healing the parent benefits your children. Healing yourself as a parent benefits your children. The number 6 on my framework is that they focus on long-term outcome. Many times as parents, because we are reactive, we are so impatient with the moment. In the moment, we just say, you mean you said that thing to me? Me that I carried you in my womb for 9 months. Is it 3 months you carried the baby before? Me that I carried you, you sucked my... So you say all of those things because you are reactive. You are just thinking of this moment. Parenting is beyond this moment. Parenting is legacy work. Parenting is the future. You are just a custodian of time. You are just a custodian of time. You are going to pass over the baton. What are you passing? What are you passing? Are you still going to pass over the trauma you got from the previous generation? Or you are going to pass something worthy? As a steward, what are you passing over to the next generation. So, but reactive parents ask, how do I stop this behavior? How do I stop this behavior now? How do I make this child to behave? How do I make this child to conform? But the steward parenting asks is, what kind of parents am I preparing? What kind of adults am I preparing? What kind of adults? That is the mindset of a steward parent. A steward parent knows that they are not going to your children is not going to, your child is not going to remain a child forever. They are going to grow up. Your 2-year-old is not going to be 2-year-old forever. Okay? Your 16-year-old will not be a 16-year-old forever. Your 12 years old, your 5-year-old will not, they are going to grow up and become adults. So what kind of adults are you raising? That is a steward mindset. A steward is very mindful of who they are raising, who their children is becoming. A steward is very mindful of the becoming of their children. A steward is very mindful of the becoming of their children. So that is what a steward is asking. Not, oh, you need to behave yourself now. Hey, you need this, you need that. How can I be talking and you're talking back at me? How can I be talking and you're looking into my eyes? Am I your mate? Hey, a steward parent is not thinking of the moment. Is not thinking of the now. A steward parent is very mindful of the long-term outcomes. They are mindful of the long-term outcomes, because reactive parenting, we keep asking, how do I stop this behavior now? How do I get this child to just behave? But a steward parent asks is, what kind of adult, what kind of human being, what kind of father, what kind of mother, what kind of sister, what kind of a member of the society am I creating, am I raising? Who am I preparing for the future? Because that question changes everything. That question, once you ask yourself, who are you raising? That question, because when you ask yourself, who are you raising, that means that you are mindful of the big picture. You are mindful of your child's role in the big picture. So that is why you need to become a steward. Because when you are doing parenting on autopilot, you are doing parenting because based on how you were raised, you will keep struggling and tell yourself that everything is fine. Okay? But when you ask yourself, what kind of adult are you preparing? That question changes everything. Every correction becomes development. Every correction will become development, and every challenge becomes preparation. It will be preparation for the future, preparation for this adult journey, because your children are not going to be children forever. You are preparing them to become reasonable adults. You are preparing them to become refined and kings. You are preparing them to become refined kings. Okay, so that is the goal. The ninth tool. Then a steward parent accept that stewardship requires intentionality. Stewardship requires intentionality. Great parenting rarely happens accidentally. Great parenting does not happen by default. You cannot know. Parenting is so comprehensive that you cannot know everything. You cannot see your blind spots. You cannot see your blind spots. You may end up raising a wise virgin. A wise virgin that will crumble when they are left alone. So, but you can raise a wise virgin. You can raise a wise virgin by how? By becoming intentional. Okay, by knowing that stewardship requires intentionality. Great parenting rarely happens accidentally. It doesn't happen because it doesn't happen by default, because you carry the child for in your womb for 9 months. That means automatically means that you will know how to parent these children. It doesn't happen that way. Strong family cultures are built. Trust is built. Connection is built. Okay, strong family cultures are built. Trust is built. Connection is built. So that is what a steward is mindful about these things. A steward is mindful that they need to be intentional about their stewardship role. They need to be intentional about their stewardship role, because character is built, stewardship is intentional. Character is built, stewardship is intentional always. Always. It's not that, okay, today I'm tired, I'm tired. Let them go to my mother's place, let them go and rest. Me, I'm tired, let me just take a break. You don't take a break from parenting. You don't take a break from parenting. Once you are a parent, you become a parent till you die. Till you die, you remain a parent. So you parent, and you keep being parents always. You keep being a parent, and you know that all the days of your life requires so much intentionality. It requires a lot of intentionality. So you dare to become intentional. You dare to become intentional in your roles. You dare to become intentional as a parent. Okay. So that is the last for my framework, that they accept stewardship requires stewardship requires intentionality. It's not something that falls on you. You have to be able to 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 be intentional about these things. It's not something that, okay, because you are now you carry the child, it's just you now become a steward. Where did you hear that a steward was picked from the street and they became a steward? Where did you hear that one from? Every steward was employed and trained. Every steward was employed and trained. So, and that is what parenting requires too. You have become a parent. So what next? What next? Do you just automatically know, okay, and the child, when she's crying, I pacify her. When I pacify her and she refuses to cry, I shout at her. And we just shout. And then I yell at her, she will just stop crying. Really? Parenting is a learned skill. You need to learn it. A steward is not somebody that you just become a steward and then you get the role. No, you need to be able to learn this stuff. You need to be able to learn this stuff because it requires intentionality. You cannot see your blind spots. You know you are struggling, but you cannot know where you are struggling until you sit with a guide, until you sit with a coach before you be able to see, okay, this is where I need to improve. But you keep struggling in your isolated room and tell yourself that this is what parenting is. No, parenting is far beyond that. Parenting gives you so much care. You need a lot of clarity to become a steward parent because stewardship is intentional, always intentional. Stewardship is not an assumed role. So now here's the realization that changes everything for me and even most parents are hoping for outcomes they are not intentionally cultivating. Outcomes that you are not intentionally planning. You just hope that the kind of school I put these children in, they must become reasonable adults. They must become they don't have any choice. So they don't have any choice. They must become responsible adults. Really, just like that. Just like that. So it's not about the expensive school you put your children in. It's not about taking your children to expensive school that will now say, okay, they will become responsible or reasonable adults. Most parents are hoping for outcomes that they are not intentionally cultivating. That is why you will keep struggling and tell yourself that parenting is not learned. Parenting is a learned skill, it's a learned role. So now you want honesty, you want responsibility, you want confidence as a parent. You tell your children that you need to be confident now. You need to be confident. You need to be resilient. You need to be respectful. But steward parents ask, what am I doing consistently to develop these skills? What am I doing consistently to develop this child? It's not the one that you force your child to become out of fear. Not the one that you force your children to become out of fear. It should be an intentional, it should be who they are. It should not be a performance. It should be who they are, not a performance, okay? So you tell your children, oh, you want responsible children, you want honest children, you want confident children, you want resilient children, you want respectful children. But what are you doing? What are you doing? You just want to remain who you are and tell yourself, okay, that your children are going to become. They're not going to become if you are not growing. You need to grow to become who your children will look up to and become. You need to grow to become who your children can look up to and become, because stewardship asks is, what am I doing consistently to develop these qualities? What am I doing consistently to develop these qualities? Because outcomes follow cultivation. Outcome follows cultivation, not guesswork, not wishes, not, oh, I thought that, not assumptions. Actions always follow cultivation, always follow curation, always follow planning. Okay? Outcome always follow planning, always follow plans, not just wishes. So you need to be able to build this your stewardship identity. You need to be able to become a steward. And becoming a steward is not something you do just by reading books. You tell yourself, oh, that I've been reading parenting books. You've read a lot of parenting books. How far? How market? So you tell yourself that you have been reading a lot of parenting books, but after reading them, you still revert back to the old you. But a steward parent is very mindful of. A steward parent is very mindful of who they have become, because they know that plans matter. They know that curation matter. They know that um, these things are planned. These things are not something that just happens by default. They are something that you intentionally build. You build on them. You build on these stuffs. So that is what a steward is mindful of. They know that these things are not assumptions. They are not uh, uh, um, just just assumption. You're just thinking it will happen. It will not. It will not happen. No, it will not happen. You have to cultivate it. You have to plan it. You have to go for it. You have to go for it, and you have to sit. You have to show up for it. You have to show up for these stuff. If not, they will not happen. So now, here's why many parents remain who they are. Okay, why many parents remain stuck? Why they remain who they are, just stuck in the rut, stuck in the rock, stuck rut of okay, we turned out fine, we turned out okay. Yeah, well, we don't need any training, we don't need any knowledge. The ones I'm reading, I've read a plenty parents. I have books, so you tell yourself, I have a lot of parenting books, so I have a lot of parenting books. That's just information. You need a system, you need a curated system, you need a curated curriculum to be able to get these things, because book will not be, just reading books will not show you your blind spots in parenting. Just reading books will not show you your blind spots in parenting. Okay, you hear teachings like this and you tell yourself, oh yes, yeah, I agree with everything she said, I agree with everything that she's saying. Then you feel inspired, but awareness alone changes nothing. Awareness in your parenting changes nothing. Knowing is not transformation. Knowing is not transformational. What is transformational is that you put yourself in a system to learn, because many parents know that they should do what they should do, but struggle to do it consistently. Why? Because parenting requires support. Parenting requires accountability. Parenting requires growth. Parenting requires healing. A lot of healing. Parenting requires consistent healing. It's not, I was telling someone that we don't heal from trauma completely. You do it consistently. You work, it's a conscious effort. It's after awareness, you get to be able to do these things daily. If not, you will keep bleeding on these children, because parenting requires structure. It requires systems. I told us of the systems that we can build as parents, but as stewards. But if we don't have the tools, we don't have the equipment, we'll keep struggling and tell ourselves, okay, these things. But with stewardship mindset, you get to learn how to build these systems. You get to learn how to build this structure, because this is why trying harder often isn't enough. Trying harder often isn't enough. Parents need guidance. Parents need guidance. Okay, they need structure. They need all of these things to be able to. They need people, a coach. They need they need someone who can see their blind spots. Okay, and you cannot see, your friend cannot tell you your blind spot. Oh, they will not tell you your blind spot. So you need guidance. Okay, so parents, the world will influence your children. Yes, they will influence your children. That is unavoidable. The world is going to influence your children, which is a given. It is what? A given. So that is unavoidable. But your influence should remain the strongest influence in their life. Your influence should remain evergreen in their life. Steward parents understand that parenting is not controlling every outcome. You're not just there trying to say, okay, who is their friend now? Who said? You know that you cannot control every outcome. What you are mindful of is becoming an influence in their life. How you should become an influence in your child's life. So you're aware of this stuff, because parenting is not controlling every outcome. Parenting is intentionally guiding the process. Parenting is intentionally guiding the process. And when parents own the process, children gain direction. When parents own the process, children gain direction. So that is why you should not be you should not leave parenting to default. Just leave parenting. Our parents did not learn parenting, no, but they did not learn. Parenting is a learned skill. Parenting is not is to become a steward. You need to be trained. You don't pick stewards from the road and tell yourself, okay, that steward and they are just stewards. No, they have to be trained. After employment, you have to be trained, you have to be onboarded, you have to be instructed, you have to be taught, you have to know how to do these jobs. Okay? And when parents own the process, your children gain direction. Your children gain direction from you owning the process. Your children gain stability. Many of our children today are very confused. They are struggling. Why? Because parents are also struggling. Parents don't know where they stand. So, but your children need to gain stability. Your children need to gain wisdom. Your children need to know who they are with their identity. Your children need to be grounded in their identity. Your children need to gain confidence, a lot of confidence, because someone intentionally stewarded them. Your children need to gain confidence because someone intentionally stewarded their development. Because someone did what? Intentionally stewarded their development. So now, if you are ready to stop leaving your parenting to chance, okay? If you are ready to become intentional about the influence entrusted to you, join the Steward Tribals program. So inside, we help parents to build parenting capacity. Inside this program, we get to build parenting capacity. Parenting capacity does not fall on you because you carry the child for 9 months. Parenting capacity does not fall on you because you were the one that created the child. It's a development that you do. It is a curated yielding that you do, because development, you need to develop emotional intelligence. You need to develop a lot of emotional intelligence to develop this capacity. Parenting capacity doesn't just fall on you, it needs to be developed. You need to create intentional family cultures. In this program, you get to learn how to create intentional family cultures, because you are not going to be here forever. You need to be able, these things that are legacy that you pass down. Your parents have done what the best they knew how to do. Now what are you doing? Are you still doing what your parents did? You need to evolve. You need to evolve. You need to grow up. You need to learn how to raise grounded children. You need to learn how to create intentional family cultures. Cultures that outlast you. Cultures, healthy cultures. Not the cultures that are reactive. Not the cultures that, okay, they say I'm just angry now. Oh, let me just shout. Let me just yield. You need to do better. How do you become better? By joining the Steward Tribals program. Okay? Join us in the Steward Tribals program. There's a link in the description section of this class. Reach out to the admin. You will get information on how to be added. Okay? So in the Steward Tribals program, you also get to learn how to steward the next generation wisely, because parenting is passing down. Parenting is handing over responsibility. It's not that, okay, you just, and when the child has grown up, okay, you leave them, let them be grown. The child has grown up now, and the child has not grown up anything. No, the child has not done what, he has not grown up anything. You have to become a steward. And now, steward parents do not leave their children's development to culture. Steward parents do not leave their children's development to trends, to schools, to peers, or to luck. Steward parents do not leave their children's development to culture, to trends, to schools, to peers, or to luck. They intentionally take ownership of the influence entrusted to them. It's an intentional work. Okay? So now, heal the parents, steward the child, shape the generation. Heal the parents, steward the child, and shape your generation. Because whatever you are doing is passing baton to your children. It's passing down to the next generation. What are you doing? Are you mindful of it, or you are just reacting? Are you responding, or you are just reacting as a parent? So I thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it that you joined me in this class. The things that we need to the tools we need to become steward. You have to keep telling yourself that, oh, that you are okay, you are fine, and you know you are struggling. After beating your children, you'll be telling yourself, is this all parenting is? No, that is not all parenting is. There's a lot more to parenting. Parenting is guiding your children through every phase, becoming grounded. You need to become so that these children will become. If not, you will tell yourself that parenting is, that is all parenting has to do. No, parenting is formation, parenting is connection, parenting is stewardship, parenting is leadership, parenting is a skill. Okay, parenting is a skill that you build. It's not something that just falls on you. You need to be able to be in a curated system. You need to be in a curated system. Thank you, ma, for being here. I see you all and I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for being in our growth journey. If you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do so and follow us on all our handle. And then we'll see you at the same time next week, Wednesday. Bye.